Hey guys, welcome back to day 2. Today's review on Horror Academic is going to be Contamination. In the States, we knew of this as Alien Contamination originally. The international title has changed a couple times, but I remember seeing the trailer as Alien Contamination. So this is a movie from 1980, another Italian film. There's going to be a lot of Italian films. But this one is by director Luigi Cozzi, who in the credits for, I guess, the American audiences was listed as Louis Coates. But I guess Luigi Cozzi was just too Italian. So 1980, the big headliner in this one is Ian McCulloch, who we're going to remember from the movie Zombie by Fulci. There's a lot of Fulci people in this. I'm going to check my notes real quick to let you know. So we have the cop in this film. He was in Mario Muse. He was in Nightmare Castle, Lady Frankenstein, and Argento's Tenebra. The agent Carlos de Mejo, the actor, was in Manhattan Baby, House by the Cemetery, City of the Living Dead, also known as Gates of Hell. So that's a big Fulci guy right there. Colonel Holmes, not really any horror that I noticed in her resume there. And of course, the astronaut in the film, Hubbard, Ian McCulloch. Like I said, you have him in Fulci's Zombie, but he was also Dr. Butcher MD, which I know a lot of you guys love, and the Italian guy, that one never really worked for me, but also called Zombie Holocaust. I should rewatch soon. And also he was, he's a British guy, so he was in Peter Cushing movie The Ghoul, which I really love, and he was in a couple episodes of Doctor Who. So we have a pretty all-star cast for this one. The two reasons really that I wanted this film and to see it after seeing the trailer for so many years is, first off, Luigi Cozzi as director. Cozzi worked on a lot of films in Argento's catalog. He did visual effects on Phenomena. He was the second unit director on Two Evil Eyes and Stendhal Syndrome. He's also the guy who does the Profondo Rosso store in Rome with Dario Argento. And on his own as a director, he did the film Star Crash, which is a fun one. Not the smartest sci-fi film out there. And he also did a couple of Hercules movies with Lou Ferrigno as Hercules. Interesting. But he... he's definitely a guy who's been around the Italian scene for a long time. If you watch the extras on there's 2 documentaries of him mostly talking about how he loves science fiction and, how this film is him getting to, really make a good sci-fi film on Earth, as opposed to Star Crash, which is a little bit more Star Wars-ish. The other reason I wanted Contamination is because it's a Goblin score. This is, Simonetti was out of Goblin for a little bit, but this is, in that time period, still a great score. I love the music from this film. So I knew the music in the trailer for years and years and years, and I'd seen clips over the time, but I'd never actually watched the full feature, so I'm really glad to watch this. So Alien Contamination is it's a great little story of, it kind of mixes a bunch of genres and styles, but it tells a story of some kind of strange occurrence on a dock. They go in and they check it. They're worried about contamination. Oh, by the way, we're supposed to be in New York City. They did shoot a little bit in New York, kind of like Fulci did, where you just kind of go run in and grab the footage you need to make sure it looks like New York. But a lot of it's done on sound stages and other stuff. So, a ship comes into port. There's worry that there's contamination. They send in some crews and some hazmat, and they find these eggs, and the eggs explode. And there's corpses there who had exploded chests. So, the big mystery is, where did these come from? What are the eggs? And, it leads them on this trek to South America, I believe Colombia, to find the company that is the shippers who sent it out there, and to find out it's all a conspiracy that comes back to a mission to Mars. So, really cool effects. Very gory film. In that kind of, there's chest bursting all over the damn place. And gooey eggs that are just like, nasty, gross, cool, a lot of fun. In stylistically, it's kind of like a mashup between kind of the Fulci and the further sequels in the zombie series, like Zombie 2 through like 5. It has that kind of action-y feel for a horror film. Also, I mean, it's really obvious, and Cozzi talks about it too. He had seen the movie Alien, really loved it, loved science fiction, and wanted to make a movie similar. Didn't want to steal anything from Alien, but he did like the egg idea. And tried to find a way to do it on a budget that he could get in Italy. So he said, well, let's take Alien and have it happen here on Earth. So that's where he got the idea. So there's definitely some influence from Alien. Other films that this kind of made me think of, Cannibal Apocalypse, which is another Italian gore film that takes place partially in New York City, and it's kind of also, it's known as Cannibals in the Streets. So it's that kind of, there's all these very, not to kind of harp on the world of today, but epidemic-y kind of, where's it all coming from? And it's, Italy does this really well, this kind of taking hardcore sci-fi, blending it into horror to make it kind of that kind of nastiness that you don't get necessarily in sci-fi, of infection and running rampant, and add a more action-y element to it than you maybe would have gotten here. Now, because there's a lot of hazmat suits, it stylistically also brings to mind Romero's The Crazies, because, that was the mainstay of that film, is how they got through. So it definitely brings that one to mind. And there was also a film, and I know this one from Mystery Science Theater, the recent ones, the Gauntlet that they just did on the second Netflix series. There's a film called Killer Fish with Karen Black in it, which also is kind of this, it's a more of a heist film, but they go from the city and they go down to South America, and it's this kind of chasey kind of movie. But it's really, I really enjoyed the movie. A lot of fun, really great, well made. If you like Italian horror, this is totally a movie for you. What else I wanted to say? The only thing that's rough about this film, okay, it's made in 1980, and it's made in Italy, and we know how I feel about certain aspects of Italian culture. So, there's some really condescending conversations. There's a woman, first off, in charge of the kind of military operation in the States, who's overseeing this investigation to try and figure out what the eggs are, where they came from, if they're from outer space, and all that. And she is very high ranking. She is kind of the person in charge through the film. But she has a subordinate, who I believe is a few ranks below her military-wise, who is very respectful of her. But we also have this kind of odd relationship she has with the astronaut that they bring on to help them. That's McCulloch's character. In that it's kind of, at first they're at odds because she had tried to discredit him when he first came back from the mission, and so they kind of have to resolve that. So there's the conversation that they have when they first meet up, some of the words we would not use today, in the way that he speaks to her, but more so there's the tough New York City cop trying to have this bizarre affection for her that he does in this really bad way of, her being cold to him makes him more excited by the challenge of getting her, all that bullshit. Not cool with that. But of course, this is 1980, filmed in Italy. I guess it's better than what it could have been. It's really the only aspect of the film I didn't like, but it wasn't enough to dissuade me in any way. There's one bizarre sequence when they're in absolute terror that they've been captured and they're going to die, and that's when they decided that it's really a blooming love affair between the two of them, and it's just like, yeah, whatever. But aside from all that, the monster at the end, totally worth it. I don't want to give too much away, but good, excellent effects for no budget. Minimum budget. But all in all, if you like Italian horror, if you like, I guess, on the cheesier end of your sci-fi, Contamination, if you love goblin scores, if you like films by Argento and Fulci and Diodato, check out Contamination. Luigi Cozzi, he did a good job. Alright, guys? So, This is my second review on my daily reviews. Today's Friday, so the next review will be on Monday. Alright, guys, have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. Watch Contamination. Bye.